Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday. Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and for this week's episode, we're going to cover the movie Escapade in Florence from 1962, and I guarantee, unless you're over the age of 75, you probably have never heard of this, unless you're a Disney nut, or me, frankly. Anyway, this of course was done by Walt Disney Studios. The release date, it was aired on television for the Disneyland television show. It was a two-part showing on September 30th and October 7th of 1962. It was later rebroadcasted in 1963 and 1969. The running time was 81 minutes, and it was in color. All right, the main cast was Tommy Kirk. He played Tom. That was original. Now, I've covered Kirk's career in past Disney films like the original Shaggy Dog and The Absent-Minded Professor. He was kind of a stalwart of live-action Disney films back in the day. He appeared in two more Disney films between The Absent-Minded Professor and Escapade in Florence, and that was Babes in Toyland and Moon Pilot. Annette Funicello plays, you guessed it, Annette. Funicello, as many know, would become one of the biggest stars in Disney history, and that began on the popular Mickey Mouse Club show in 1955. She would stay with Disney through the early 1960s, appearing in various live-action films and television programs. She would hit it again big with her frequent co-star Frankie Avalon, appearing in numerous beach party films. But sadly, Funicello would die in 2013 at the age of 70 after years of battling multiple sclerosis. I do have some brief notes about the making of the film. So it is actually an adaptation of a 1957 novel, The Golden Doors, written by Edward Fenton. Funicello would later say that filming in Italy was her favorite movie-making experience of her entire career. The film was released as a Disney Movie Club exclusive in 2013, which is how it landed in my collection. All right, let's get into the film. So it opens with Tommy Kirk, riding a motor scooter throughout Florence, Italy. Soon he runs into Annette Funicello, literally.
Why don't you watch where you're going? This traffic's bad enough. You know, you could have got me killed crossing the street like that.
Got you killed? Well, of all the stupid remarks, for Pete's sake.
You're an American.
People like you don't make me very proud of it.
I'm sorry, I guess I was goofing off a little bit.
Thank heavens. Oh, no.
Why don't you let me hold that till you get squared away? You're an artist. So am I. Well, not exactly, but I'm the closest thing to it. I'm an architect. What I mean is, I'm a student at the university.
Grazie. Siete stati molto gentili ad aiutarmi.
Thank you very much. Look, I'd kind of like to make up for all the trouble I caused you. Can I give you a lift home?
No, thank you.
How about lunch? You hungry? I am.
No, thank you.
Wait, look. I'm new here, and I don't know anybody. And I'd like to meet some nice people. Like you, for instance. And my name's Tom Carpenter.
If you don't mind, I'm late already.
Not a great start in Florence for Tom, though he finds something that Annette left behind and decides to follow her to give it back. But then he clumsily crashes his scooter into a car. While the police and the other man whose car was hit by Tom argue in the streets with many spectators, Tom goes into an art shop where he saw Annette walk into. The store owner hesitantly agrees to give Tom the name of Annette and where she works, since some shady-looking characters stare at the owner to make Tom go away. Tom, none the wiser, leaves the shop and happy he can go find Annette. Tom finds Annette singing in a restaurant where she works. It's owned by her aunt and uncle. But she isn't thrilled about seeing Tom. Unfortunately, another boy who likes Annette is named Bruno, and he does his best to make sure that Tom and Annette won't get too cozy, and he performs with his guitar loudly during their conversation.
Hi.
You are persistent, aren't you?
I merely wish to inform you, Miss Aliotto,
that you left one of your valuable possessions lying in the gutter.
Oh. Oh, well, Thank you.
Nothing, really. Although I did have to go through considerable difficulty. The funny thing is that in all the excitement, you forgot to give me your name and address. Silly, wasn't it?
Won't you join us?
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I'd like you to meet Signor Torelli. Bruno, this is... I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Carpenter, Tom Carpenter. Pleased to meet you.
Mr. Carpenter almost ran me down this morning.
Oh, well, not on purpose, of course. You might call it a happy accident.
Aunt Gisela, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine. Mr. Carpenter, my Aunt Gisela, and my Uncle Mario.
Oh.
They own this place.
How do you do?
Piacere.
How do you do?
Mr. Carpenter did me a favor today. He's a student at the university.
I'm studying architecture.
Oh, very nice.
Very artistic.
I'm a student too.
A student of business.
Well, it's not so important like the artista.
This businessman is a great lover of art.
He's not the same thing. Did you know Annette is an artist too?
Yes, I'm a great admirer of her work.
Che bello. And with food, I am an artist too. Prego, s'accomodi.
Oh, grazie.
I prepare something for you very speciale, see?
Oh, that'd be fine. Thank you. Thank you.
You, Bruno, you sing. Show this American friend of Annetta how happy are the people of Firenze.
I just finished my song.
Then sing another one. What am I paying you for?
You don't pay me.
I feed you.
Since when is pasta money?
Comes to the same thing. Music.
Canzone d'amore, amore per te. Che gioia la vita. Che felicità perché.
Are you working your way through college too?
No.
Oh, another rich American.
Actually, I'm on a scholarship.
I'm sorry. I guess that was kind of a nasty crack.
Oh, no, forget
My
it.
love song, canzone d'amor, la melodia sei tu, il sole nel cielo, sei tu, canzone d'amore.
Do you live here?
Yes,
Canzone
yes, upstairs.
Oh,
d'amore, my
That's where you
love
paint.
song.
Yes, there and at art class. I study at the Villa
Is
Canarino. The Villa Canarino.
Che
It's a villa on a hill that belongs to the
gioia
Contessa della Scala.
la
I study painting there.
I'm sorry, but there's so much noise in here I can
What a
hardly hear you.
joyous life, because you love me too. I call you my love song, for deep in my heart a lovely
I like your work.
Please don't flatter me. I detest flattery.
No, I'm not flattering you. I mean it. I really do. I especially like the one you took to the art shop. The painting of the famous bridge.
The Ponte Vecchio? Oh, you really did notice, didn't you? Bruno.
Canzone d'amore.
Give us a love song now, Bruno. Something soft and mushy.
There.
Grazie.
You are a stranger in Firenze.
No, I've been here almost a week now. I've covered the whole place on my motor scooter.
Then you have seen nothing.
What Bruno means, you have not seen the real Firenze. But that will come later. Now you eat.
Of my city, I know every building, statue, painting, every garden, villa and fountain. I know them all.
The Florentine is very proud of his city, its history and art.
You Americans, always in a hurry. You pass up more than you ever catch up with.
Bruno, stop that.
The next day, a woman enters the art shop and asks for a painting with bridges. This is the code for a specific painting that Annette made and dropped off a day prior, and likely what the suspicious men were inquiring about with the shop owner. The woman is about to leave with the painting, and then Tom arrives looking to buy the same painting because it was done by Annette. Tom offers 3 times the amount it's worth, but the woman constantly refuses and is annoyed that Tom insists on buying the painting. The woman tries to leave, and an incoming customer accidentally runs into her, and her package falls, along with the other painting Tom had. During the confusion, as you can already guess, the woman ends up leaving with the wrong painting as they're both wrapped in plain brown paper. When Tom arrives at the room where he stays, he discovered that he ended up with the bridge painting he wanted by accident. Of course, the woman also discovers by now that she has the wrong painting and discusses with the 2 men and the art shop owner, and they decide that they must find the student, Tom, and get that bridge painting back. One of the men follows Tom through the streets of Florence, but Tom notices that he's being tailed, and with his smaller motor scooter is able to evade the man in the car for most of the chase. Eventually, the man catches up with Tom and takes the painting from him, but Tom takes it back, and this leads to an on-foot chase throughout Florence. Tom eventually does get away from the man, but falls into a large fountain, and it ruins the painting. Tom takes the painting to her and her aunt and uncle, and they discover that another painting is underneath the canvas of Annette's painting. And the painting underneath is an original, a very valuable painting. However, Annette says the supposed original painting isn't one at all, but a copy. But Tom isn't convinced and goes to the art museum where the original is supposed to be and talks to the museum caretaker who assures Tom that the original that is featured in the museum is definitely real. However, Tom is on to something, as it looks like there's a counterfeit ring definitely going on, and one of the men associated with the museum, well, he's in cahoots with the art shop where all the trouble began. In any case, it's back to the restaurant and we hear Annette singing, but the men who have been tailing Tom decide to get rough with him.
Tommy, where have you been?
Goofing around.
We were worried.
We? Now, just bet.
Please to sing.
Oh, no,
Signorina, please to sing.
Travoi, saprò dividere il tempo mio giocondo. Tutto è follia, follia nel mondo, ciò che non è piacer.
Well, there's no sense in hanging around here. Where's my painting?
So it is only a copy. I still admire it while I cook.
Tra voi saprò dividere il tempo mio giocondo. Tutto è follia nel mondo.
No customers in my kitchen. Out!
Ciò che non è
Out!
The painting.
Oh, you mean the lippy? You're wasting your time. It's a phony. The real one's in the villa. Don't get me mad now. That's not nice.
You want to leave? You give me that painting. Now.
Look, why got all this trouble for a painting that's a phony? You'll just have to throw it away. Ooh. You get me mad and you'll be sorry.
Out of my kitchen, I say!
Remember, Mommy says to never interfere in the kitchen.
Now I am mad.
Non ho un aiuto, tutto a pezzi. Tutto a pezzi.
You were great, Gisella. You were just great.
Cosa pazzi? Guarda questa cucina.
They were after the painting.
Del bel bambino.
Right. You know what that means? That means Annette's wrong and I was right all the time. It's an old master. This proves it. An old master. Sorry, genuine old master.
Stop.
It's an old master. It's an old master.
No, Thomas, be happy while you can, for your troubles are just beginning. What? We will discuss it later. Now I must sing.
It's Annette's aunt to the rescue, and she helps fight them off with a rolling pin and other items from the kitchen. But as the aunt mentioned, even though Tom is convinced there's a stolen painting ring going on, this is going to lead Tom into danger. But who cares, right? It's time for more singing from Annette.
Some boys, they say they want to take me dancing. That's what they say.
That's what they say.
And yet, they only want to go romancing and right away.
And right away.
Although I like to see romantic movies, I only go to see the show because as yet I haven't met the fella who set my heart and soul aglow. Dream boy, where's the boy for me? Dream boy, I wonder who he'll be. Who will he be? Who will he be? Who will he be? Who will he be? Wonder when I'll meet the dreamy dream boy meant for me.
Stasera, Nina mia, io sono andato, te lo dirò, te lo dirò. Colà, cocente il fuoco, ma se fuggi, ti lascia star, ti lascia star.
E non ti corri appresso e non ti sfuggi, a
Resti, e ammontiamo su là. Resti, e ammontiamo su là. Curicula, curicula. E ammontiamo su là, curicula.
Sometimes I really think I like a fella who's nice and sweet.
I'm nice and sweet.
But then another fella comes and sweeps me right off my feet.
Right off your feet.
Although I love to dance and like romancing and making plans,
Holding hands.
I know this heart of mine is only searching to find the one.
And I'm the one.
Oh, dream boy, where's the boy for me? Dream boy, I wonder who he'll be. Who will he be? Who will he be? Wonder when I'll meet the dreamy dream boy meant for me.
Yes, there are lots of songs in this one featuring Annette, as she was, again, one of Disney's top draws at the time. As for the film, there's about 30 minutes left, and I'm sure you can guess the ultimate outcome, as it's a Disney movie. But look, the ride getting there is of course fun and silly and similar to other Disney live-action films of the era. I will say there's a great escape from the mansion and castle involving the three main characters. So while younger viewers likely won't find the appeal to this compared to the superficial modern live-action Disney flicks seen today, this definitely has a charm for those older in age or those that appreciate the early years of Disney films, like myself. So this is a quick watch on a lazy weekend that won't depress you, so enjoy. One person that normally appreciates my movie recommendations and loves to be on the podcast, well, love is a strong word, but she likes to be on the podcast, is Lindsay, and I showed her Escapade in Florence, so we'll get her take on this now. And then I'll be back next week to talk about yet another random movie from my DVD collection. Okay, welcome back, and we're talking to Lindsay, who I've roped into yet another movie that, well, does she like it or doesn't she? I thought maybe because it's a early Disney movie, a live-action Disney movie, she might like it because she had heard of Annette Funicello and people like that, but we're going to find out. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Brian. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Are you really thankful?
Oh, this one has mixed reviews. Let me set the record straight by saying I love Annette Funicello. I think she was the original, like, America's Sweetheart. Mm-hmm. She's a darling on screen. I adore her outfits. She always just looks super cute. She reminds me of exactly what I would have wanted to be if I was in the 60s, right? Yeah. Like, I just adore her. But I can't say this is a great film, but I still adore Annette. Yay, Annette. Love you.
So what did you like about the film and what didn't you like? I mean, keep in mind, this was basically a made-for-TV movie showed in 2 parts on the Wonderful World of Disney back in 1962.
I loved the scenery. I loved the idea of the Italian setting and the years in which they were filming this. I think the 1960s.
And it was shot on location in Florence.
And I think that the 1960s was a very cool time for lots of things, certainly just fashion. And for whatever reason, you know, it's the time in history when, like, things in my grandparents' world kind of stopped. Like, so much of what they had stopped in the mid-60s there, like around the time my mother was a teenager, and I just have such nostalgia around the clothes and just the era. And so I love that. I love that part of it. That reminds me of all the best memories I have of my grandparents, who I adored. It seems like a simpler time. So when I see the film and I just sort of see how it was, I'm reminded of how awesome that must have been. And I feel like I kind of missed out on living through that era. As I mentioned, I adore the clothes and the style. I think that that's just the best. And again, I feel like I kind of missed out on that period. I mean, for the movie though, you know, it's hokey. It's kind of a
But aren't
silly
all Disney
plot.
movies like this kind of hokey?
Yeah, but I guess, so when I think of Disney, the parts of Disney that really resonate with me are their old animated films.
Yes.
And those films, to me, if I were to turn on Cinderella or Snow White or Pinocchio or
Bambi.
or any of Dumbo, any of those films, I would like them just as much today as I did then, and I wouldn't think they were hokey, and I wouldn't think they were weird, because they truly, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this, had a magic.
Sure.
And that magic was very special to those Disney films. And I loved Disney back then. You know, when I was young, so we're talking like super early into mid like 1980s, but mostly the early parts, I only watched the Mickey Mouse Club that Annette Funicello was in. That was the one that I watched, or Tommy Kirk, who played, you know, Tommy Carpenter here. Funny how their real life first names are also their film names in this film. But they are the people I watched in, you know, Mickey Mouse Club. And I only watched those black and white ones. And I loved all of that about Disney. So, yes, when you say, oh, Disney, isn't it hokey? I guess. But the magic of those things are kind of their own thing to me. And then this is kind of something else. This was almost like Disney was trying to capitalize on people who were really well known to a certain audience and make them relevant to like another audience. And I just feel like that doesn't translate as well. Like what they did in Mickey Mouse Club, as hokey as it would be or whatever, like that's one thing that works as it is, but you take those same people and you kind of try to make them relevant to like preteen, mid-teens, high school kids. It just doesn't work the same. That's sort of what my criticism is here. But please understand, the old school Disney and all the things they used to do, I adore and I still adore.
Right. Again, this is a made-for-TV movie. This was never going to be released to the theaters. And so back then, you got to remember, television was still relatively new. Most people probably barely had color TVs at this point. I mean, though it's 1962, so they're starting to phase that more in. So this was a two-part thing, and so probably seeing a movie that you didn't have to go to the theater for was probably kind of cool.
And it's completely fair.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
they probably never thought that this movie would be shown 50 years later.
You started making my next point for me, which is that you often remind me when we watch film that's old. In particular, we've been watching a lot of Cary Grant films on the side, for fun, not for podcasts recently.
Yeah.
And you often remind me that when these films were being made and released, there was no apparatus for someone to ever see them again. So there wasn't anybody who imagined that they would be able to watch this over and over again whenever they felt like it in the comfort of their home. I absolutely lose that perspective sometimes because of the time in which we grew up.
Sure.
We grew up when like the VCR was invented,
That's right?
So it's like we completely lose track of that, and I think that's very fair. And I'm willing to give, a few props to this film on that front because I do think that that makes sense. And television was quite novel still. It was probably barely 10 years old, if that.
Yep.
And another thing I left out that I liked, you asked me what I liked.
Yeah.
You don't like this so much. I actually think the singing and the dancing and stuff is kind of charming. I do.
Yeah.
And I would say that even though that is one of the hokier parts, if you want to talk about the redemptive stuff,
you like that?
That actually felt good. What doesn't feel so good is sort of the silliness of the art caper. And it felt like trying to take... And I'm going to use like an example because I love this. When I was probably, I don't know, somewhere between like 8, 9, 10, but before I was a teenager, I loved a book series called Sleepover Friends.
Okay.
I loved that series. It was perfect for girls who were in that frame. In that frame, everything about those books were amazing. Once you got to be like 13, 14, 15, 16, that's not going to work anymore. It's just the wrong, you're catching the kids at the wrong time, and this just feels like it was catching people at the wrong time. Although if I put myself back there, barely any television, this is all pretty new and
12
novel.
Years old.
These are stars to many kids. Maybe it would have played better than I felt it did when I watched it.
I'll give you this. It felt like a dumbed down Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew mystery.
That's extremely well put, and that's absolutely what it felt like. I think those would have been done better. And
actually, ironically, Tommy Kirk played on the Mickey Mouse Club one of the Hardy Boys. They had an adaptation.
And back in the day, even when I was around like 10, 11, 12 years old, I love reading like Agatha Christie novels. Those were like the best mysteries ever. But I thought those could be read by teens or adults.
But even the Hardy Boys and the Nancy Drew mysteries, they hold up today.
No, they hold up today.
Extremely well written.
And depending on how they're acted, if someone's acting them, they could be amazing. Like Veronica Mars, right? Wasn't it based on like
Nancy Drew? It was essentially a modern
Nancy Drew, which was everyone. That's a very heralded series, right? So anyway, I think all that stuff can be done really well. I guess I'm trying to take the time period in mind. It was hokey.
And it's fine if you don't like it.
I wouldn't say it had an amazing plot.
Right. No, and it didn't. And again, we're going by Walt Disney said it was like a 2-part teenage comedy adventure with international flavor. So basically they're trying to hit probably the international market for Disney too. So, and as you said, they're trying to use probably their 2 biggest stars at the time, and they figured they could sell the film. It'd basically be like taking in the early 90s Lindsay Lohan and another male star and trying to build
like Freddie Prinze Jr.
and
or something.
Exactly, and doing a little movie around him.
And you know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
I actually think if they didn't focus on this weird art caper thing and it was just a love triangle, a teenage love triangle between the American guy and the guy who... If they just focused on that and made the whole story about that, as hokey as that would have been...
You'd like that better.
I think I would have liked it way better than the art caper. I think it works on the merits of just that, taking the art stuff out. She could still be an art student. They could still meet over her painting and the whole entire thing, but the whole like hokey art caper thing, just take it out. Make it like a teenage love triangle.
All right, you heard it from Lindsay. Teenage
Let's remake
love
this one.
Who would you have in this movie? You don't even.
You know, the problem is
You don't know who's
who
young.
would even be the young people of today? Because the people who I would immediately
It's gonna
jump
be
to
all
mind
AI.
are yeah, right. Those people are not even young anymore. I'm like,
No.
oh, Abigail, she's not,
Not
young
even
anymore.
young,
Like these
yeah.
people aren't even young anymore.
No.
You know, or like Timothée Chalamet, like he's not even young anymore. These are adults now.
I know. I don't even know.
I don't even know who it would be. That shows you how out of touch I am
There
with
you
young
go.
people today. I mean, the people who I would think of are in their mid-20s now, and they couldn't do this.
There you go.
They've outgrown. Of course, they did just make a Barbie film, so I don't know.
We'll see.
You know, maybe someone will try to redo this.
Well, look, they can't all be winners, and I got this from my subscription from the Disney Movie Club. So
I mean, here's the thing. I feel guilty dogging this
I
one.
don't feel guilty.
Even though I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because I understand the time in which it was made. And
Sure.
the more you point it out to me, the more it makes absolute sense why it was the way it was, what market it was trying to appeal to, why it did what it did, how it had these young stars it was trying to like bring into the next generation. Like you said, all the beach blanket movies that, was it Frankie Valli and Annette
Frankie
Funicello was
Avalon.
in Avalon. Who's Frankie Valli? He's a singer.
He's a
Whatever, they're all the same.
Yeah.
So
Jersey Boys, right?
Yeah. So that, I think, taking all that into account, you can't really be that mad at this. Although I just
Well, it's
don't
a
think
harmless film.
it's not a great film. It's a harmless film.
It's a kid movie.
It's just not good.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
And again, I feel guilty saying that because it's not like I watched this and this is horrible. Like I had a terrible, nasty reaction to it.
Yeah.
I was just like, let's just be honest, this is not good. And
Yeah.
Disney made a ton of winners.
Yeah.
A ton of winners.
Well, yeah, because if you watch the ones that were actually released to the theater, you know, The Absent-Minded Professor, The Shaggy Dog, Pollyanna, The Parent Trap, those are all classics.
They stand
They
the
still do.
test of
Yeah.
time, and many of them that were remade
Yeah.
just don't hold a candle to the original.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Disney animated films, and the same thing with the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
Disney made magic for decades.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. Whatever sinister underlying things may have been there, and let's face it, folks, there probably were.
Sure.
I mean, it was a money-making machine, right?
Yeah.
There's probably some nasty stuff underneath the surface. Whatever, they still made magical stuff that
Right.
many of us born in the, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s
They
will always
totally
think of.
they reinvented the whole genre, basically. Yeah.
I mean, and they deserve all the credit in the world for that. I just feel like this is where it started maybe beginning to fall short or stretch thin. These are thin stretches of what Disney
Again,
was.
but
But it was probably trying to get to a new market.
Oh yeah, and again, it was a straight-to-TV movie, and I don't have many of these in my collection. But hey, we're doing whatever's in my collection. This is in there, and I appreciate you giving me your honest opinion.
No, and I mean, again, I feel a little bit bad about it, simply
But
because
don't.
taking all the things into account. But I bet Disney was really trying to appeal to people who were young when they were watching, Mickey Mouse Club and whatever. They were growing up. Annette was growing up. Tommy was growing up. They're just trying to grow their audience. I just think that if they made it a love story,
It would have been better.
it would have been so much better.
And today, I think if you were to watch this, I think a kid might like this. Like someone that's growing up, they might appreciate it because it's not very heavy. And I think anyone that was growing up, like our parents, might appreciate the nostalgia of watching this again.
I'll tell you what, the last scene,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to really describe it, but there's some celebratoriness going
Yeah.
on. And I'll say that when I'm seeing that and I see like Annette's dress, and I long to like just insert myself into that story and be at that dinner table and enjoy that. So yeah, there's some good stuff about it. There's some things that I love about it. But at the same time,
You don't care about the mystery.
no, the mystery really hurt this film. I think that had they, like I said, stuck with a girl loves boy, loves other boy, not sure what to do, boys fighting over girl, and then maybe they left it ambiguous, like we don't really know who wins at the end.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I mean, I feel like it would have maybe fit my needs a little better for a film like this. But again, it's there's nothing wrong.
Find
with it.
out when it's an escapade in Greece.
Yeah, maybe they'll remake that in modern. I don't know.
Well, thank you again, Lindsay.
Well, thanks for having me, Brian. Thanks for listening, everybody.
If you enjoy this podcast and are an iTunes user, please do the show a favor and head on over to the official iTunes page for Damn Good Movie Memories. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. This will allow the show to appear higher in the algorithm and spread the joy of this podcast to the masses. If you are not an iTunes user, you can still listen and subscribe on Podbean at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook under our Damn Good Movie Memories page. You can also listen to a limited number of episodes on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and be sure to tune in next week for an all-new episode of Damn Good Movie Memories.